Question number 3, Andrew Little.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister and asks, does he stand by his statement regarding the release of SIS documents to Cameron Slater that, quote, the basic claim that somehow my office was either pressuring the system, speeding up the process, injecting itself in the process, all of that is flatly incorrect. The inspector, when she goes and does her work and looks at it, will, I'm totally confident, demonstrate that. End quote.
Speaker.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, firstly, let me start by congratulating the Leader of the Opposition. Secondly, the answer to that question is yes. And I quote directly from the report when it says the decision to release redacted copies of the meeting documents, the timing of the release and the decision to release information solely to Mr Slater were all made by the New Zealand SIS without my office's involvement.
Supplementary, Mr Speaker.
Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Mr Speaker, how does he reconcile that answer with the passage in paragraph 213 of the Inspector General's report, which states, and I quote, I did, however, find that Mr Eade had provided the details of the relevant documents to Mr Slater and was in fact speaking to Mr Slater by phone at the exact time that Mr Slater submitted his OIA request, end quote, showing his office was instrumental in the politicisation of information from the NZSIS.
Well, Mr Speaker,
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Obviously no doubt that Mr Eade had discussion with Mr Slater, but as I said, that drove the fact that there was an OIA request was not unique to Cameron Slater. It was put in by a wide range of other media outlets. The problem was they asked them as media queries and not as OIA, and therefore the New Zealand SIS treated them in a different way. And Mr Speaker, that information was all in the public domain because of the stupid comments made by a number of people.
Order.
Supplementary.
Order. Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Does he now accept, in light of the first answer he has given to my question, denying that his office, quote, injected itself in the process, close quotes, is now demonstrably incorrect?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
No, quite the contrary. If the member reads the report and looks at paragraph 225, she'll see it quite clearly says that my office did not, that the inspector did not find any indication of collusion or direction to the New Zealand SIS over the request. Unfortunately for the Leader of the Opposition, that this report does not stack up, and that's why his so-called mate leaked the report on the day he was releasing his new lineup. What a team!
Order. It's not going to help the order of this House.
Supplementary.
Order. Order. The amount of interjections coming from this side of the House, particularly one very, very senior minister, is unacceptable.
Supplementary, Mr Speaker.
Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
When he made a political staffer the main point of contact for the SIS in his office and assigned a subordinate staffer to work with bloggers, what measures, if any, did he take to stop security agency information being used for political purposes?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, firstly, they weren't used for political purposes. That's actually quite clear. That, Mr Speaker, is quite clear, and that's actually what the report finds. You see, that's the problem. That's why your mate Phil had to leak it a day earlier.
Supplementary.
You're a loser. A loser.
Order. Order. No, it's order. Order. It is not appropriate for that address coming from the Prime Minister, and I don't want his answers to continue concluding with those sorts of remarks directed at the Honourable Phil Goff. Andrew Little, supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Given his personal apology to Cameron Slater for breaching his privacy, will he now apologise to Phil Goff for the partisan political attack launched by his office and his department via the Waialoa blog, and if not, why not?
Mr Speaker.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, the really interesting question here is whether Mr Goff owes me an apology. He made a series of statements prior to the election, all of which were demonstrably wrong, and they do not get stacked up by the report. And Phil Goff is laughing. He's laughing, Mr Speaker. He's laughing, Mr Speaker, because A, he's embarrassed, and B, because he knocked you, Mr Leader of the Opposition, off the news the day you were releasing your lineup
Order.
Phil Goff
Order.
put himself
Order.
ahead of the team.
Order. It's not going to help.
Supplementary.
Order. I have a point of order from the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Mr. Speaker.
Order. Order before the member starts. Before the member starts, he will resume his seat. I have a point of order from the Right Honourable Winston Peters, and I will hear it in silence. If there's an interjection from any member, that member will be leaving the chamber. Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Mr. Speaker, you told the Prime Minister that you didn't want to hear him concluding his answers like that, and you referred to what he was doing that offended the House or you. Now, sir, he went on to the next answer and did the same thing again. What strictures are you going to apply against him?
Order. Order. No, the latter part of the Prime Minister's answer was not the same as the tone of address earlier addressed, whereby there was an absolute accusation that a particular member had leaked a report. That was the part that I was finding unsatisfactory because there's no proof to that. That was not then mentioned by the Prime Minister in the last answer. Further supplementary?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order! Having told the House that I don't want interjection during a point of order, I don't expect an interjection from a senior member, Winston Peters, after I've made a ruling. Otherwise, I could deliver the same treatment. Andrew Little, supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the Prime Minister, when will he apologise to New Zealanders for the political smear machine run out of his office and for the partisan use of security agencies?
Mr. Speaker.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
I would happily apologise if that's what this report from the Inspector General demanded. It does not. Mr. Speaker, what is true, what is absolutely true, is that advisers and politicians talk to the media. And if it was solely on this side of the House, fair enough. But yesterday, on the basis of a report arguing about leaking information, Phil Goff leaked information to the media.
Order! Order! The Prime Minister will resume his seat.
Supplementary. Supplementary, Mr. Speaker.
Order! Order. Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
When will the Prime Minister commit to all New Zealanders to lift his government out of the sleaze and the sludge and stop the abuse of state power for political ends?
Mr. Speaker,
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
I am very proud of the way this government operates, and I am very, very confident that in the discussions and briefings that political staffers and politicians have on this side of the House are absolutely consistent with the other side of the House. And by the way, if they're different, here's an interesting point. When I became Prime Minister, members of the press gallery asked me whether I'd be keeping up the same level of quote-unquote briefings they got from Helen Clark.
Mr. Speaker.
Order. 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 Question number 4, Mark Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Trade. What progress has